Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I told you many times that I don't like when I'm right, especially, or I don't like when I'm right when I say something that will possibly happen in the future, like a prediction, and the prediction comes true, and the prediction is negative. I don't like that. You don't always obviously make predictions on good outcomes, but also in bad outcomes. In this case, it's a bad outcome for my Polish friends, as many as I have or I don't. I was right. Your government will send you to fight in Ukraine. And, as I stated, they will send you, the military, to fight in Ukraine to protect the Polish population, that's how the story will go, from the Russians once the Russians are breaking the front. And that will happen in the west of Ukraine, in Lviv and so on. That's my 99.9% prediction. I have here Mr. Duda, my Polish friends know exactly who Mr. Duda is, telling us about something like that. That is the first talk, or maybe not even the first. It's like the one before the decision is made. This is one of the topics. Another topic that I will discuss today is evidence again that NATO wanted Ukraine, even though Ukraine supposedly was a neutral state. Stoltenberg hopes that Ukraine will join NATO. Why? Why is it necessary for, let's say, Ukraine to join NATO? We're going to discuss that one. The Russians were right. These guys denied, but they are right. Another article that I have here, another topic. Democracy in the United States of America. I will show you how important is voting versus campaign donations. I have a cuckoo head, one heiress of Disney. You know, Disney, the beautiful Disney corporation, done by Mr. Disney, the guy, all right? Now we have his granddaughter who makes some claims. Remember, Disney is not owned by Disney family, it's owned by a different kind of family. Got that? All right, that's another one. And with this article coming from Sputnik, I will make a point, which is, it doesn't matter how many votes you have if you have the money. Money is more important in democracies nowadays in the West than votes. Another article from Sputnik about the unelected Prime Minister of Great Britain. Remember, Great Britain lectures Russia and other countries about their democracies. But the king is unelected, the Prime Minister is unelected, the government is unelected, they're all appointed. The only guys that you have elected are very low, the common, how do you call it, the House of Commons. That's all. And then you have the House of Lords, which is again not really elected, just to be nice. So I'm going to show you Mr. Sunak. He's going to go bye-bye. Let's see what other garbage with a different face will show up. I'm very disappointed with my proud nation of Great Britain. Very disappointed. And now the last article here, I will show you through the statements made by Mr. Kuleba, who is the foreign minister of Ukraine. So he's the counterpart of Lavrov or Mr. Peter Sziarto of Russia, or Baerbock, or remember Liz Truss? Okay. So, or now Cameron. So he's gonna make some statements that they're gonna be uttered like normal statements, but that reveals who is who and what is what. Now, let's start with the first one. The first one is from the New Voice of Ukraine and has to do with my Polish friends and Polish nation. And this is from 14 hours ago on the New Voice of Ukraine. Duda, and quote-unquote, hopes Poland won't have to send troops to Ukraine. Will not have to. So he hopes that we don't have to send troops to Ukraine. What do you mean you hope? You either know or you don't. What do you mean you're going to send? I hope we don't have to. So you see, Poland will send you guys, the Polish, whomever those guys are over there in charge of you, they will send you because they have to. Someone else attacks us or something, and we in self-defense have to cross the border in a sovereign country, independent country, in order to defend ourselves. You understand? Now, if that's the logic, then the Russian had the same right in Donbass? Or no? No. Says who? Now, let's read this article. I'm putting my goggles. During a joint press conference with Slovak President Peter Pellegrini, Duda asserted that Russia must not win the war because its victory would pose a significant threat to Europe and the world. Okay, defend your country. No, you're not going to defend your country. You're going to defend your country in another country. And in the meantime, we're just going to protect our guys in Lviv and others. I know a lot of Polish friends that I spoke with don't really like this interpretation, but time will tell. Time will tell. Patience is still a virtue in my civilization. At the same time, he believes, remember, go and check the definition of believe. It's not think, it's believe. That Poland should not, he believes, Poland should not send troops to Ukraine at this stage. So everything he says is like, I'm not going to cheat on you at this stage. Would you accept that for your husband or from your wife or girlfriend or boyfriend? I'm not going to cheat on you. I believe I'm not going to cheat on you at this point. That's acceptable? You say, thank you very much, Gigi. Smack. Bye-bye. Never see you again. Since there would be a risk dragging the whole of NATO into a direct conflict with Moscow. NATO will not get into direct confrontation with Moscow. Why? Because they're pussies. They have more to lose than the Russians. That's one of the reasons. And I'm quoting, at all international forums where we participate, the NATO countries' position, including Poland and mine, is very clear. We are providing military support to Ukraine, but we are not sending our soldiers, end quote, the Polish president said. And I'm quoting again, I hope there will be no necessity for that, and that Russia will not escalate to such a situation. What would be an escalation? Russia breaks the front, moves towards winning in Ukraine against NATO. This is our stance today. Again, my stance today is I'm not going to cheat on you. Today. That means tomorrow could be a different stance. You understand? I know you understand. It's not hard. And we absolutely do not want to take part in this war, nor do we want our soldiers to participate in the conflict. But we hope that the Russians are not winning. Once they're winning in a foreign country, we might change that. Got that? All right. Next article. Stoltenberg. I'm going to show you something that the Russians said many times. One of the big challenges and who cast the first rock against Russia, what the Russians claim, is the enlargement of NATO. Not of that, but of NATO. Which is, they promised, gentlemen agreement, remember, no 1 inch eastward towards Russia expansion. And the Russian says, okay, Germany can unite. That was one of the things. And Germany was allowed to be united, and NATO expanded to Russia's borders. So who broke the gentleman promise? Not the Russians. Remember, Ukraine was neutral. 1994, Budapest Memorandum said, the guarantors said, Ukraine will be neutral. Who broke that neutrality? Coup d'etat 2014. Organized, applauded, and immediately, recognized as the legitimate new authority in Ukraine through a coup d'etat, military bloody, of a democratically elected government of Ukraine, Viktor Yanukovych. So that changed the neutrality. Why? Because NATO, CIA, and others brought in infrastructure and training the Ukrainians. So Ukraine was not neutral since that point. Another break of a neutrality agreement. And it was agreement. It was not like a gentleman agreement. And I have to bring back in 2008 when that imbecile, I would say maybe war criminal, because he invaded and bombarded the country, not only one, two at least, without the authorization of the United, based on a false pretense, weapons of mass destruction. And that is George W. Bush. In 2008 in Bucharest, in the NATO summit, he said, one day, Georgia, and Ukraine. Ukraine, remember, 1994, neutral country, will join NATO. And Putin was like, "Что? What? What? That's neutral. No more." So again, the ball was cast a few times from that side, not from this side. So, and we have Stoltenberg hopes Ukraine will join NATO within 10 years. Why? I'm going to give you an example. People ask me, well, how was this world created? And they say, well, do you think in the Big Bang theory, or is the divine pop? And I say the third option, which is I don't know. So it shouldn't be only two options. It's either a divinity, supernatural power that we interpret the way we interpret it in our inception, all right, then, like people illiterate and so on, or the Big Bang theory. It shouldn't be necessary only these two options. It could be a third one, which is I don't know. You can't stand that. So the same here. Why should Ukraine be under NATO or under Russian influence? Even though, remember, Ukraine geographically and culturally and historically is closer to Russia every day than the so-called NATO Anglo-Saxon pop. So again, why should it be either or? Why can't it be in between? What the Russians claim so many times, a buffer zone. NATO doesn't want a buffer zone. They want Ukraine in NATO. And Russia will never allow that. And they knew that. They knew that. I'm talking about the US government. But Russia unprovoked entered Ukraine. So here it is. Next one. Next one comes from Sputnik. And I'm going to show you Democracy in the United States of America. This is from 7 hours ago. Disney Harris announces halt in donations to Democrats until Biden drops out. So one person says, I'm not going to give you money, but I have one vote. So what's more important? So remember, she's one person. She should have said, I don't vote for you. That's one vote. But she says, no, I'm not going to give you money. That's more than one vote, because one vote of this person has more weight than your vote and your money. One vote, but her money doesn't compare with lack of your money. So here is the face of this person. She has the right to do and say what she said. I have no issue with that one. My problem is the analysis of this person, who I very much dislike wives, children of famous people. Like, for instance, Martin Luther King Jr., Reverend, Doctor, everything you want to put over there. I don't want to hear his wife saying squat in his name. I mean, she can, but for me it's like beep, nothing. I don't want to hear Martin Luther King Jr.'s children in his name. Oh, my father would have thought like this. My father. No, you don't know squat. Build a name on your own first. I don't like Lisa Marie Presley talking about my father. You don't know squat. You were actually a neutral, a average Joe. Don't use it like my child will come tomorrow and say, hey, Amy would have liked this. You don't know what I liked. That's why I don't like people when they apologize for their ancestors. Maybe their ancestors would not agree with that apologies. Like, Belgium apologized for Leopold's second crimes in wherever in Africa. How do you know Leopold would apologize? Maybe he would say no, and many others. Why do you apologize in the name of someone? It's not you. The only person that you're going to apologize in the name of is you. The same. She, and I'm going to read this. Let me pick something here. I'm going to disappear for a second. I have to plug something in here. All right, get my goggles. Here it is. Abigail Disney, granddaughter of Roy O. Disney, who co-founded the Wall Street Journal. Walt Disney Company has announced that she plans to withhold donation to the Democratic Party until incumbent U.S. President Joe Biden drops out of the presidential race following his dismal debate performance. Is that that's a threat? Is that a blackmail? Why don't you just do it? Why do you let all us know? That's a narcissistic behavior. If you don't change your behavior, I will not give you this. Fuck you. This is democratic system. Your vote is all that I should need in a democratic country, not your big money that you didn't make. That's another point. She said, I intend to stop any contributions to the party unless they do what I want. Is that how it goes? It seems like. Until they replace Biden at top of the ticket. This is realism, not disrespect. I think this is blackmail, baby doll. But again, the only two options. She used only realism and disrespect. I brought the third one. I think this is blackmail, baby doll. And I can bring another one. This is a narcissistic trait that you very much express right here. Biden is good man, blah, blah, blah. Screw you. Next one. She's not, as I said, she didn't make the money. Someone else made the money for her. Next one. Sputnik. UK's Sunak confirms he steps down as prime minister. They got others. They got the liar, I would say criminal, in my assessment, Mr. Sir Tony Blair. Why? They attacked and bombarded the country on a false pretext. And then they ask questions. They smack you first and say, hey, do you have drugs on you? No, but guess what? I found this one on you. It doesn't work that way. You don't shake someone up and look for drugs and then you indict that person in something else that you found during your illegal looking for drugs activity. But hey, we are the free world, right? Jesus Christ. And Sunak, average, not even average, mediocre. Liz Truss, mediocre. Cameron, remember Cameron was fired as the prime minister. He just quit, okay? Fired as the prime minister, and now he is the foreign minister. So that tells you what? Do you think that Great Britain doesn't have men to do stuff? Yeah, I said men to do stuff. What? And they have who? Who's gonna come next? Let's see what gonna garbage. Maybe we're gonna have Mr. George Galloway. Or, right, I heard that communists are taking over, the Labour, right? Or maybe, I don't know, Mr. People said, he's a weasel, Mr. Farage. He is a weasel, but he did certain things and he has balls and brains. His intentions were as they were. I don't think he's a weasel. A weasel is a person who avoids responsibility. Nigel Farage dropped his career as a stock market brokerage and so on, if I remember correct, investment and so on. That tells you, okay, certain kind of traits. He went to Brussels and he said Brexit. And he went over there and he fought day and night with brains and balls while others were... That's a weasel. Farage is not a weasel. He comes in front of you and tells you. That's not a weasel. A weasel is a person who avoids responsibility and takes success as being his own, done by others. All right? Man. So it says here, Sunak said earlier that Friday that he called Labour Party leader Keir Starmer to congratulate him on the victory in the parliamentary election. Now, Labour Party is the worker party. German Nationalist Worker Party. But they are the right-wingers. Thank you very much. Got that? So we got Mr. Starmer. I will look into that when Times gives me the opportunity to take a dump on him, because I don't think he is a... we'll find out. I don't want to say anything because I really don't know much about this guy yet. Honest. Next one, but I know about Sunak. And now we're going to show you who's who, what's what, according to Mr. Podolyak. Ukrinform. I'm sorry, Kuleba. I say Podolyak all the time. Kuleba. Kuleba is the foreign minister. My bad. Mea culpa. It was not Podolyak. Podolyak is a spokesperson, advisor. No. Kuleba, my bad. And this is what he says. To change situation in war, we need Ukraine. We need permission to strike at territory of Russian Federation and more ammunition. Who asks permission? A subordinate. Of whom? Okay, so don't give me Ukraine fights Russia ever again. And this is just supposed to be like, yeah, we need permission, papa, move on. No. Hold on, baby doll. All right? Keep your bra on and your red skirt on. All right? Let's discuss this. What do you mean you need permission? From whom? From your bosses? Thank you very much. Put that together with Stoltenberg, 10 years, and that tells you who's who, what's what. Are the Russians the victims? Well, it's up to you to assess that one. To change the situation in the war with Russia, Ukrainian partners. There's not partners. What do you mean partners? Needs to make two key decisions to allow strikes on Russian territory. To allow. A partner allows you? Well, you can negotiate, right? I don't think that's a negotiation here. I think it's just a subordinate master relationship. Especially airfields and bombers in the air. And to provide more artillery and ammunition. Okay, do that with the Ukrainian nation, you idiot. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.